You know what's holding you back? It's not your market. It's not your team. It's not even your product or your competitors. It's your thinking. Most CEOs are stuck running their businesses on a ton of tactics borrowed from somebody else. Tactics that work for them and their company with their team at that time in the market and the economy. But here's the truth. Tactics don't always work for you. And when you hit a plateau, tactics are not going to be the thing that get you out of it, at least not tactics borrowed from somebody else from another time. The solution is first principles thinking. Strip everything down to its core, then build up your own tactics, not somebody else's, yours, using a framework of thinking that will allow you to find what's going to be high functioning at that moment for any problem. Now, what are first principles? First principles thinking is about breaking problems down to their fundamental truths, the raw facts you cannot argue with, and then rebuilding solutions from the ground up. It is the opposite of defaulting to best practices or the way it's always been done. So think about Elon Musk and how he built SpaceX. He did not ask, how much does it cost to buy a rocket? He asked, what is a rocket made of? And how much do those materials cost? And that question saved SpaceX millions, hundreds of billions. And it completely rewrote the rule book for the entire industry. That is the power of first principles thinking. You're not thinking from analogy. You're not stuck in somebody else's frame of reference. You're not even accepting the price of things. You're asking yourself, what are the things that I can change? And where do I hit the limits of physics? Now, why CEOs get stuck here? Here's what happens when you don't think from first principles. You're living in somebody else's world. You make decisions based on what other companies are doing, and you end up fighting the battles on their terms instead of your own. You mistake complexity for progress. You build on shaky foundations. You're adding features, hiring people, and running campaigns, but none of it solves the actual core problem that you're facing. You stop questioning. You accept assumptions as facts. This is how it's always worked, becomes the default answer that you're steering by. The problem is that if you're doing that, you're not recognizing how rapidly the market changes. Before coming on here, we were looking at a style of marketing that had been killing it for us and all of a sudden stopped working. The reason it stopped working is that the things you put into the system change the system itself. And this is why I always tell people, I could walk you through step by step, minute by minute, the things that we did at Quest. And the reality is it's not going to work for you. And the reason it's not going to work for you is we already ran that playbook. And so the market has updated based on that playbook. People are using the same techniques. And so what was once revolutionary becomes the boring thing that everybody's doing. Now, there is a simple 3-step process to thinking from first principles. It's not easy, but it is straightforward. 1, you're going to challenge every assumption. Start with the simple question, what do I know to be true about the problem? Then ask, what am I assuming that may not actually be true? So here's an example. If you're stuck trying to scale your business, you might assume you need more people. But what the truth is you just need your current team to work more effectively. Or to give you an example from Quest Nutrition, we were trying to make a bar that nobody had made before, but we could not understand why no one had made the bar before. And we went into co-manufacturers and we asked them, hey, can you make this bar for us? And they said, the bar you want to make simply can't be made. It's impossible. And we were like, okay, wait a second. Why is it impossible? We boiled things down to the absolute ground truth. And what we realized was, it wasn't that the bar couldn't be made. It was that the bar couldn't be made on the equipment that existed that output at a commercial scale. And so we realized because the government had been subsidizing corn, people were making high fructose corn syrup. It was delicious, it was cheap, and all of the equipment had been engineered to work, assuming that you were going to be using high fructose corn syrup. We come in with a different mission to end metabolic disease. It's not possible for us to end metabolic disease and use high fructose corn syrup. So now all of a sudden we had to say, okay, what do we know to be true? What we know to be true is that the bar does not violate the laws of physics, but we will have to engineer our own equipment. And that ended up being the breakthrough that helped the company skyrocket to success. All right, next, as you just heard me do, you want to break the problem down into its smallest parts. When you're facing a challenge, do not try to tackle it all as one gigantic issue. You want to break it down into its core components. Ask, what are the essential elements of this problem? So let's say that your marketing isn't converting, but instead of saying we need better marketing, break it down into, is it the messaging? Is it the targeting? Is it the offer? Is it the channel? Is it what our competitors are doing inside the marketplace that's trained the viewers to respond in a different way than we're expecting? You cannot solve a problem that you don't understand. So you have to deconstruct it first into its constituent parts, get as close to ground truth as humanly possible, and then build back up from there. Oftentimes, what I will do is start, instead of all the way down at ground physics, which nobody fully understands physics anyway, I will start with the physics of the human mind. So this largely becomes a game of psychology. Whenever you're trying to sell something, that is a good place to start. What is the psychology of my user? What do I know to be true about the way that they think, about the way that they interact with my marketing, sales, products, so on and so forth? What's the nature of the problem from their perspective? And then third step, you're going to rebuild from the ground up. Now that you've stripped the problem down to its core, you just rebuild the solution piece by piece. Don't rely on what's worked for others unless it aligns exactly with what you know to be true in this moment. Do not get lost in tactics. This is the whole thing that this school was born out of, is I saw everybody teaching tactics that worked for them historically, but I knew that tactics would become obsolete so rapidly. If people didn't understand how to create their own tactics, they were never going to be able to move forward. All they would ever be able to do is follow. All right, the hardest part is letting go of what worked before. I get it. Nothing is more frustrating than you find something that works and then you keep doing it and all of a sudden it's either not working at all or it just slowly declines in efficacy, forcing you back into the physics of progress, which you guys are going to be learning more about in another module. But there is a sequence of 6 phases that you can go through whenever you're unsure on how to identify what to do next. You just run the physics of progress and it's going to help you formulate what exactly you need to do in order to overcome the obstacles that stand between where you are and where you're trying to get. All right, in closing, you guys have built something incredible to get here. I know that. But if you're stuck in a plateau right now, to break through, you are going to have to instead of a group of tactics, you're going to have to get a framework for how to think that allows you to solve problems that not only have you never seen before, but nobody's ever seen before. There's no YouTube video that you're going to be able to go watch. It's something that you have to understand what the absolute essence of the problem is, what components make up that problem, and which of those components you can actually do something about. If you're able to do that, you're able to think from first principles and you're never going to get trapped.